comes to construction, there are a lot of questions that we ask. Sometimes we hear there's a structural failure, and sometimes we hear the anomalies, sometimes with the awarding of tenders. So we would like to know what exactly happens in the construction industry and how we can manage to solve other things that happen there. My name is Waupi Mongulu. Today, my guest is Associate Professor Dr. Innocent Kafoja, who is from Mubasa, and he would like to elaborate more on the construction industry and how we can manage it here in Malawi. Welcome, Dr. Kafoja.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sometimes we cannot really understand what happens there. Can you give us a little bit of a highlight on what are the rules and regulations here in Malawi concerning the construction industry?
Thank you very much. Construction industry in Malawi is quite vibrant. Being an industry that is active, indeed, it's very imperative that the industry has to be regulated. It cannot be just be left open. There are issues that have to be controlled. So there are institutions that are out there that are established under the Act of Parliament. For example, we have NCIC, we have Malawi standards, and also other professional bodies that are into regulating the profession. For example, we have MEI, MIA, and the Institute of Physical Planners. Yeah, so I would like to recommend their work that they're doing on the ground, and but I feel there are challenges that are out there. For example, there's a lack of coordination among the regulators. Let's take, for example, NCIC. NCIC and Malawi standards, they are there to enforce regulations to do with the quality of construction. For example, NCIC is mandated to look at the quality of infrastructure, and on the other side, Malawi standards is there to enforce standards. But if you look at how two are operating, you find that there is lack of coordination. For example, the biggest challenge that NCIC has, in my opinion, is to do with the quality of construction materials.
So when you talk about the quality of materials here, how are we faring here in Malawi? Do we have those materials in Malawi that we can still be buying here in Malawi instead of importing?
Yeah, we don't have the materials readily available here in Malawi. Just because of our economy, the industry is not grown to the point that the materials that can be produced from the industry can be absorbed by the construction industry. So there's a need, of course, to have import substitution in construction materials, but that can only be done if we have thorough research being done to make sure that Malawi as a nation is able to produce materials that can be used in the construction industry.
So when we talk about open construction initiative here in Malawi, what's the status as far as construction is concerned?
Yeah, Malawi, in as far as the construction is concerned, subscribed to this particular initiative. It is called Construction Sector Transparency Initiative. So Malawi as a nation subscribed to it in 2008. Now from 2008 to 2022, not much has been done, but of late from 2022 to 2023, I've seen some headway in as far as this particular initiative is concerned. For example, there is a platform that we call Infrastructure Platform for Public Infrastructure. This is where information to do with government projects are shared by different procurement entities. Yeah, but looking at the information that is available on that particular platform, you find that not much from the non-governmental organizations is shared. Most of the information is coming from the government agencies, and also most of them is the government agencies and also World Bank.
Now, why do you think we have got a gap in the sharing of the information from non-government organizations?
One, it could be a lack of infrastructure, digital infrastructure, because this is a platform that is digital. Maybe it could be the NGOs or non-government organizations and they do not have access to this platform, or it could be awareness. Maybe they don't know that this thing exists. So it's a question of one, improving on the awareness, because even the public, I don't think a lot of citizens or a lot of Malawians, they are aware of this particular platform. But it takes one who has some interest in it to know that indeed there is this particular platform. So I think it's to do with digital infrastructure or probably inadequate ICT skills from that side, yeah, and also the awareness.
Ndi mmene project inapangidwira sinali withstand sinapangidwa kuti ikhale withstand to nyengo kusintha kwa nyengo ndi apa mukuna kuti nkhani zimene za resilience to infrastructure tine kuti timakhala kuti tisanakonzekeretu mabuku mwathu kuti kubwera chakuti kapena tigule zakuti mukafotokozepo bwanji pa nkhani imeneyi.
Climate change ndizo zoti zikuchitika because of kusintha kwa nyengo. Mwachitsanzo tikumalandira mvula yambiri komanso ng'ambaso imabweranso makamaka ku mvula yambiri ndimene makhala ngati imapanga affect our infrastructure. So it's not kuti sitimakhala sinakonzekere in terms of kupanga design zinthu ayi komano malingana ndi ndondomeko zimene zimatsatidwa tikamapanga design timatengera ndi ma conditions amene so timayika pene pacha. So ngati ma conditions amene takapene pacha si amene ma conditions amene chinthu chija chapangidwa design chikumana nacho on the ground, then obviously the performance will be different. So panopo it's the nthawi imene ngati ma engineers tione kuti how best can we revisit our design philosophies to suit the climate change. So we need to design infrastructure that is climate resilient, climate change resilient.
Ndondomeko zanji zimene zingasatsatidwenso kuti msogolo mutakhala taonekedwa zinthu ngati zimenezi mabuilding athu achakhala otetezedwa tingapange bwanji?
Chimene chikupangitsa kuti bwina ma structures athu azioneka osalimba, one ndi materials amene agwiritsidwa ntchito komanso design yomene ili koma okulu kumaoneka kuti ndi ku materials iko kuti materials amene tapanga assign kuti okay materials awo amene agwira ntchito pa building iyi then zomwe zikuchitika pa ground ndi zosiyana due to some other factors. Mwachitsanzo panopo we have a problem of optimizing profits. You know, anthu amene amapanga deliver a project, they are contractors. Now because the industry is open, everyone wants to be a contractor because there is money in it. Then being business oriented, then the next thing is to optimize on the profits at the expense of quality.
Pamene pankhani imene yokuti anthu ambiri amalowa nawo ndithu mugawo limeneli la zomangamanga construction industry chifukwa chokuti muli profit ambiri. Anthu amene amakhala kuti alowa nawo business mu ambiri amakhala kuti ali ndi chilolezo choti azigwira nawo ntchito imeneyi kapena kungolowa kuti asika ndi waukulu akapange nawo malonda.
Construction, we cannot generalize kuti there are a lot of profits in construction. It depends on the approach, because there are different factors that contribute to the profit. It can be the management itself, and also some economic factors. My fellow specialists in economics, they call them micro economic fundamentals. Those are some of the issues that affect the profits because it's a business. So, but it's a question of amene amakhala kugwira ntchito, do they know what they're doing? Also, the other problem that is there is my client amene Unpacked offer different projects. Government and other entities, they try to maximize their limited resources. For example, a very small amount of money, you find that a client would like to produce, something that is big. So for somebody who's in business, has been awarded a contract, they accept it out of maybe desperation, or maybe they don't have it. They want to, do something. They end up, compromising on the quality. Just because one, they want to make profit, right? But at the same time, they want to, achieve client's objective with the limited budget that the client is offering. So that is where now we are doing it wrong, because you cannot expect, good quality from, shoulder work or from limited resources, because construction is expensive. So if we invest enough, then we should be able to have, infrastructure that is resilient, that is strong, because there's investment, enough resources that are there. Now, coming to, is it like open, anyone who is involved in the construction, they just join anyhow? No. There is NCIC that is there to regulate, right? To control who is to be a player in the industry. But because, there are different policies that are out there, right? Everyone has got the right to be an entrepreneur, right? But yourself, you can be an entrepreneur. You can venture into construction industry. Who is going to, deter you from joining construction? No one. As long as you have all the requirements, you can join. But on the other side, we have other bodies that are there to control those that are, in the construction industry.
What's the role of a resilient construction in Malawi in order to realize Malawi 2063?
If you look at the Malawi Vision 2063 agenda, it hinges around construction. For example, we have those three pillars: agricultural productivity and commercialization. We have urbanization and industrialization. Let us look at the agricultural productivity. So for that productivity to be there, there'll be need for irrigation infrastructure. Who is going to do that? The construction industry. Okay, let's look at the urbanization. There's an influx of people from rural areas to urban areas, and you find that more than 70% of population in Blantyre or Lilongwe, right? It's in informal settlement. So these people that are moving from the rural to the urban, they will need services. For example, they will need clean water. They will need power. So for sanitation facilities or water network to be there, it will require construction industry to come up with construct those facilities. Okay, let's look at industrialization. The value addition, maybe from the agricultural produce, the value addition of whatever is produced has to reach the end user. And these products will need a means of transport, a road network. Who is going to provide, economic infrastructure or the road network? The construction industry. So you can see everything that is in the Malawi 2063 agenda is hinging on the construction. And if we're not doing good in construction, then it means we just lose whatever we've been working for, just in the blink of an eye. Because one, we are not serious. Two, we are not patriotic in a way that whatever we are doing, we have the interest of the nation at heart.
You're watching Unpacked here on MBC, and our guest today is Associate Professor Dr. Kafoja from Mobas. He's talking more on the construction industry here in Malawi. Why do we still have structural failures, and how resilient should our structures be in order to succumb to the cyclones that we had, and maybe the near future cyclones that we can have? Now, after this break, we are going to talk more on the performance of our construction industry companies in Malawi. Why should there be a comparison between Malawian firms and international firms? And also, we also want to highlight more on the role of research on what should be done here in Malawi, and more especially the role of the construction industry being the major player in awarding tenders. We'll be right back after this break. Our guest today, Dr. Kafoja, who will tell us more on the construction industry. Dr. Kafoja, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now, sir, we have noted a few issues out there because as we have seen, the market is big, it's growing in the construction industry, but also on the issue of awarding tenders. Some people have been complaining to say maybe a few procedures are broken in order to award other people's tenders. Now, nkhani mene iyo kuti ma contract azomanga mwina anthu omwe amene akulandira ena satenga nawo gawo. Ine mukuona ngati nkhani imeneyi mungayikhudzeko bwanji?
Nkhani yakuti ma contractor okhaokhawo amene amawapatsidwa ntchito amene umunena kuti ndioti alibe upangiri oyenera kuti agwire ntchitoyo. Upangiri umakhala munjira yosiyanasiyana. Mwina contractor akuoneka kuti sanagwire ntchito yabwino according to maybe history imene yakuona zimene zinali pa ground. Komanso tikamakamba awarding a contract, pamakhala bid imene amapereka, those that are interested amapereka bid, and amene amapanga evaluate mabid aja amakhala ndi criteria imene amatsata kuti contract iyi kuti timpatse munthu wa contractor wakulu kuti awena akhale ndi ichi akapanda kukwaniritsa amene sakuyenera kupatsidwa contract imene. Ndiye mwina ukakhala kuti contractor amene sakudziwa ntchito mwina likhoza kuyigawa mu njira zingapo. Tikomupanga define kuti contractor osatha ntchito chifukwa kuti mwina one alibe financial capacity, chifukwa tikamakamba za construction pamakhala ma areas ena amene amafunika kuwaunikira: administration, technical part, komanso financial part. So ngati contractor alibe kuthekera pa zinthu zotatu izizi komabe ntchito akupatsidwa, ndikuti ndi vuto in our system, because the process imakhala ndi ndondomeko yake kuti munthu apatsidwe contract. Ndiye kuti ndi vuto la anthu opereka contract yo kuti akanika kupanga zinthu zoyenera kuti apeze contractor oyenera kuti agwire ntchito ichi. Mwachitsanzo, bid document ikaperekedwa imakhala ndi information, komano authenticity or chilungamo chake cha ma document amakhala mbid aja zimatengera kuti kodi amene apanga evaluate akudziwa, akumudziwa, akutani. Ndizimenera kulendera kuti nthawi imene a contractor apereka bid document yawo pakhale timati due diligence chizungu chake, kuzitsala bwinobwino kodi zimene aperekazi alina zodi asanafike kuti apatsidwe chani contract ichi. Koma zimapezeka kuti mwina kapena chifukwa cha nthawi anu akantchito aja samayang'ana zitizo zimene zicha akupereka contract. Komanso sitingapange rule out influence ya zinthu zina ndi zina. There is what we call political influence or political interference. We cannot run away from that. Komanso there is corruption. We cannot, because statistically the contract that are awarded, there is about 23% thereabout, they are influenced by corruption, individual, agreement that happens. About 12% or 30%, between 12 to 15%, there is an element of political interference.
Now, pankani mene kuti takhangati mbali na isikuenda bwino ndi nkhani zimene zakatangale ndi zinazotero, koma inuyo mukachionesesa mukachiunikira Malawi munomo tindi kuthekera kwa makampani kuti atha kumagwira ndithu ntchito yoyenerera, chifukwa nthawi zambiri timaona ngati ntchito zambiri zimapekedwa kwa makampani akunja. Inu mukathirepo mulungu pa nkhani imeneyi mungakambepo zotani?
Talking of foreign companies, I'm happy that our laws, they are open for the international, firms to participate or to work here in Malawi. Fine and good, because those foreigners, when they're here, they can, provide a platform for, local engineers or local firms to learn from them. It's like a learning platform. So if I'm to rate the performance of foreign companies in as far as the construction projects are concerned in Malawi, I would say it's mixed, right? Some contractors, they have performed well. Others, they have performed miserably. But the question is, those local firms that are engaged in those projects with the foreign firms, do they learn something? Because the essence of having that arrangement is to make sure that there is we should have a cutoff. We should not depend on imported labor. There should be a cutoff where we can now be using our own labor. So the engineers, it's a question to the engineers. The engineers that are involved there, do they learn something? Or maybe it's the arrangement. Maybe it's the project is to do with the construction of a road, and then maybe a local contractor is given construction of drains. There's nothing that this local contractor is going to learn, because construction of a drain, what is it? There's nothing challenging in that. So mafunzo ni ngonjezera bangono bankania performance ya foreign companies. Okay, based on what we have seen in the media, palimise wimenedi madziwa kuti sinaende bwino. Not what from what the journalists are saying, no, but from what the communities are saying. We learn from the concerns of the communities. For example, we had some communities in Kalonga. They were complaining about Kalonga to Songwe road. We also saw in the media communities complaining about Sanje Maka road. But both of them, they are done by the foreign companies. What is wrong now with this? Maybe our monitoring system is not good enough. There are those arrangements that local firms, they should be participating in that. But to what capacity? To what level are these local firms getting engaged in those? Because the answer is for them to learn. But to find that by the end of the project, there are issues coming out. And yet we had because those local contractors, they are our representatives in that project. So whatever happens, they should be also taken into account, because they are part and parcel of the project. But what are local contractors, when they are engaged in the project, what are they doing? Do they learn? Or maybe they are just spectators in the project. So there's something that has to be done so that we should have value of money from these foreign companies. We are not happy to see the scenarios where people are complaining on the project that is delivered by a foreign company. Then there's something wrong. So in summary, I would say foreign companies that have done no good. They've also performed miserably. Maybe for the vertical infrastructure. Vertical infrastructure, I mean the buildings going up, right? We have examples that we can see that were probably done. For example, we have let's say Bingu International Stadium. It was done by a foreign company, but we can appreciate the works that were done there. It's not that they are not performing; they do, but maybe our monitoring system or monitoring mechanisms are not good enough, or we are not responsible citizens.
Kafoja, what are we lacking here in Malawi as far as construction-related research work is concerned, and what should be our priorities here in Malawi?
Okay, as a construction industry, we have been complaining about substandard materials, all right? Poor construction methods. So as a country, we need to embark on research that will bring input substitution of the construction material that we are using. Because when you talk of research, this is the way we can generate knowledge. So we need to generate knowledge that to provide an input substitution to the materials that we are using, and of which majority of them they are substandard. So I'm happy that we have facilities like at Mobus. We have the Uniport that has been launched. That is the facility that can be utilized to come up with the materials that perform to the standard that we are looking for. So it's a question of the government should have the will to invest, because research is not cheap. Knowledge generation is not something that is cheap. It's something that has to be invested. So if the investment is there in research to do with the materials that we need in the construction, and then we'll be able to excel. So that area of input substitution, because we know we have been complaining about our forex reserve, which is not sustainable, and the majority of items that are imported are the construction materials. So this is the area that we have to focus on, so that we substitute the materials that we are complaining about that are substandard with those that we can generate locally that are of the standard that we are looking for. So that's the way to go.
That's how we end this week's edition of Unpacked. I was talking to Dr. Kafoja from Mubas, who is also a major player in the construction industry. He highlighted a few legal issues that need to be followed in the construction industry, as well as how should we own our tenders as Malawians. My name is Uaupi Mongulu. Until next week, I say keep watching MBC and goodbye.